Hi, Michelle Glass here. Welcome back to our Digestive System Chapter 24, Lecture 24 series. This video is to try and help you put things together. So far, we've been talking about the digestive system by location. So we've talked about what happens in the mouth, and then what happens in the stomach, and then what happens in the small intestine. And I'm going to ask you to, be able to do that, but then also be able to tell me, what's happening when I eat a carbohydrate? What's happening when I eat a lipid? What about when I eat a protein? So this video is to try to help you put it together by molecule. So I have just 3 slides. I have a lot of information written on each, and we'll talk through it. And then maybe you want to pause if you're trying to write down and keep notes. Maybe you need to pause it so that you get everything written down, and then move on to the next slide. So I have a slide for carbs, a slide for lipids, and a slide for proteins, and we'll talk through each of those. So let's get started. Okay, carbohydrates. How do we digest these? Well, ultimately, we want to take a polysaccharide and make it a monosaccharide. Really, just glucose is the molecule we want. So if we eat a polysaccharide, we start digesting that in our mouth with the production of salivary amylase. And then we swallow it. And for a little while, salivary amylase is going to continue working in the stomach, but it does get denatured with that low pH. So we can kind of think about our carbohydrate digestion as being on hold. Once the chyme moves into the duodenum, we're going to get the release of pancreatic alpha amylase into the duodenum. So that's going to continue where the salivary amylase left off. By the time we're moving into the jejunum, we're going to have trisaccharides and disaccharides already available, and we'll see those specific enzymes of the brush border, maltase, sucrase, lactase, helping to break down trisaccharides, disaccharides into monosaccharides. Those monosaccharides are moving directly through the mucosal cells through facilitated diffusion, making their way into the bloodstream. And then the hormone insulin is going to trigger our body cells to take glucose and use it to make ATP. So here's where you might want to pause if you need to update your notes. Okay, let's look at proteins next. Proteins, remember, we start with that mechanical digestion in the mouth. So chewing and smushing, breaking physically that huge structure of the protein. And then we swallow it. And we see our stomach continues with segmentation, the mechanical breaking of the protein. But now we start chemical digestion with the release of the hydrochloric acid and pepsin. As the chyme moves into the duodenum, we get additional enzymes from the pancreas. So we get pancreatic proteases, and then we get specific dipeptidases from the brush border in the jejunum, so that we are getting amino acids moving through our mucosal cell through facilitated diffusion and co-transport directly into our bloodstream. And let's take a look at our lipids finally. Lipids you're eating as triglycerides, and we start the digestion in our mouth with the production of lingual lipase from the tongue. And then you swallow it, and lingual lipase doesn't care about the low pH of the stomach, so it keeps working. In the duodenum, we get additional input from the pancreatic lipases and the bile salts. So we're emulsifying those droplets into smaller droplets. They're having more contact with our lipases, so that you get monoglycerides and fatty acids at the jejunum moving directly into the mucosal cells. Those mucosal cells are going to convert them into triglycerides, pack them up with proteins, forming that big structure called the chylomicron. The chylomicron then is going to move into the lacteal where it's transported through the lymphatic system until it's finally dumped into the subclavian vein. Okay, that's it for now.